Hi, Sandite friends. Mr. Sandite, mentor here. Working on comparing decimals, and then I may lump this together with putting decimals in order. Comparing decimals, saying which decimal is bigger than another. So you're given two different decimals, and you have to say which one's the bigger one or the smaller one. So let's just do an example real quick. And some of what I'm seeing as a problem, 4.08, and we have to say whether it is bigger or smaller or equal to 4.080. And what I'm noticing is that a lot of my friends are looking at this figure, the 4.080, as being bigger because, well, naturally it's bigger because there's four numbers there. But that's not the correct way to look at that. Just because it has a 0 on the end, I can put a 0 on the end of this one and it would still come out the same value-wise as this one. So what I like to do is kind of make a race out of it. And what I mean by a race, I race numbers. It's a number race, number per number. So this 4 is in a race with this 4 on the left side of the decimal. So if this 4 versus this 4, well, it's tied. Okay, so right now nobody's winning. So I go to the next number, a 0 versus 0. Well, still a tie. Nobody's winning. Go to the next number, 8 versus an 8. Nobody's winning again. It's still tied. So here is a 0, which this one didn't actually have, but actually that doesn't hold any value. So this problem in itself is going to be equal. So I don't know if there's a little circle or how your teachers want you to do that, but 4.08 is equal to 4.080. And so there's one. Let's see if we can do another one that's in the book. I have a 50 decimal 031, and it is in a race with a 50.030. Now, here we go. It may be obvious to some, but to some it may not be. So here goes the race. We've got a 5 versus a 5 on the left side of the decimal in the tens place. We're tied. We're tied in the ones place. We're tied in the tenths place at 0, 0. We're tied in the hundredths place, 3 versus a 3. But look at this. In the thousandths place, we've got a 1 versus a 0. The 1 is bigger than a 0, so that one wins. And so in the square, whatever you have, that one would be the largest of the numbers. Let me see if I can find maybe another one that might be a little more difficult, but it's kind of hard to find a difficult one because doing it this way makes it so easy. Okay, here's one with a bunch of numbers. So here we've got a 7.2953, and we're going to compare it to or race it against a 7.2593. Okay, so we're at the starting line. We're ready to go. And the race begins. Here's the sevens. We're tied. There's a decimal. The twos were tied. Then we come to the hundredths place, a 9 versus a 5. Well, the 9's the bigger than the 5. So we can end the race right now. The 7.2953 is bigger than the 7.2593. And it's really not any more difficult than that. Some of them you might have. Here's one that might be obvious to some but difficult for others. If we have a 0.3 versus a 3.0, are they the same? One's bigger, but the way we do, the race is on. A 0 versus a 3, well, the 3 wins. So the 3.0 is bigger than the 0.3. So that would bring up a good point. The books and your tests, they may try to trick you with the whole numbers. So what if, for example, let me see if I can make up one of my own. What if I have a 1.45 and it's up against or racing a 4.5? Well, some might say that that's equal. It's got the same numbers. But what we have to remember is to all look at where the decimal's at and the numbers in front of it. If you look at it, this is the whole number 14 versus the whole number 1. So if you want to do the race method where there's equal amounts of numbers on both sides, in front of the decimal, if you want to put a 0 here, you can. And that way we have 2 numbers in front of the decimal, 2 numbers behind the decimal, 2 numbers in front of the decimal, and we can put a 0 here. It's not going to hurt a thing. We'll have 2 numbers. So here, let's just verify. A 0 versus a 1, well, that 1's already beat out this 0, and it's a 1 versus a 4. And of course we all know that 4 is bigger than 0. And Sandite friends, YouTube friends, it's those are as easy as I know to make them, and it just kind of make a race out of it. I'm gonna attach this to a video to where we order a set of decimals from like least to greatest or greatest to least, and let's see how that works out.